Well, it's lovely to see you. I have to say, first off, I'm recording, so I have to say, first off, for anyone listening or watching, you and I are friends. We do know each other. So I am biased when it comes to you. I just want to say that for the record.
Yeah, you're biased, but I also feel like because we're friends, you'll rip me to shreds if I stop.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold back. I wouldn't hold back.
You hold nothing back. The jokes would be nonstop.
Yes, I love it. I love it. But I love you, and you are fantastic in this. So I guess my first question for you is, how does it feel? How does this moment feel?
Girl, I feel like I'm Hannah Montana, but they're whipping out the wigs too fast and my hairline's sliding back. No, it's been great. It honestly, this has been, as an actor, it has been one of like the biggest, most challenging roles that I've ever had to play. I got to play two different characters, Kendall Nesbitt and Molina. I lost 45 pounds in 50 days for the job. I went through a Broadway boot camp and I got to dance and sing with one of the world's biggest superstars, and that's Jennifer Lopez herself.
Mhm. Yeah, it doesn't get better.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's nuts.
How did it all come about? How long was the audition process for you?
Well, I would love to say that I was their first choice and whatever. No, I was like probably the dark horse in the race.
Mm.
I got an email for the audition on, I would say December 20th.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, the industry shuts down right after Thanksgiving. So 4 days before Christmas,
Yeah.
and no one was in town. But I submitted a self-tape, and 2 days later, I think December 22nd, they literally said, what's his schedule like for the rest of for the top of the year, and don't move. And then January 2nd, 9 a.m., they said, you're flying him out to New York. Let's figure this out. Next thing you know, I'm doing a Bob Fosse number and a tango. And I'm reading with Diego Luna, and boom.
Yeah.
It came to be.
Well, so did you have any musical background?
I did. Yeah. Yeah. Well, not musical specifically. I was a part of repertory dance company at USC, back last year when I had just graduated. No, well over a decade ago. And me and my relationship with my body has always been, I love moving. So, I did acro yoga and capoeira, and, but for musicals and singing, the only time that you'd ever really hear me sing would be when I'm belting in my car up and down the streets of Los Angeles.
Yeah. 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 That's amazing. And that's what I think is so incredible about this for me, just as your friend, obviously, I'm just very happy for you, but also as someone who watches entertainment and is a part of sort of pop culture in that sense, to quite literally, and I think Bill Condon has a very particular knack for this, to quite literally see a star be born is something that is rare in Hollywood. You don't see, of course you've been working, you're an actor, you've been around, people have seen your face, but not on this level, not on this stage, not with people like Diego and J-Lo. So how does it feel to be a star is born?
Well, I got to stay away from alcohol because I've watched all three of those movies. No, it's interesting. There's multiple layers to it, right? When I zoom all the way out, my mom was an immigrant in this country. She worked at a Jack in the Box at a drive-thru when she first got here and raised me and my brother as a single mom. She opened up her own business, and then, I came out with a penchant for drama and just like a dream. And then without batting an eye, even though we had no nepotism, we had no access to this kind of world, she said, yeah, let's figure it out, And so when I think about it from that way, it is quite astonishing. But then I look at it from the perspective of just, my first gig ever was a one scene co-star on Jane the Virgin. And then that led to 3 seasons on Vita. On the Cover of the Times, then a series regular on Promised Land. And then my first studio feature with Carry On. And then now this, right? And so on that world, from that perspective, it feels like I've been getting promoted, gradually over the last 10 years and building friendships along the way. But then as an artist, I'm like, I have been training for this my entire life. I have been waiting for this moment, and have been a part of other people's big blow-ups to celebrate it. And so it kind of just feels like I've been waiting on the sideline to be let into the ring. Finally get a chance to fight at the Olympics. And I was like, once I got the invitation, it was like, girl, I'm not holding back.
Yeah. Well, there is something you bring up nepotism. What I found so surprising and what's so refreshing, I think, from the three leads in this, you, J-Lo, and Diego Luna, is that it is so rare in Hollywood not only to see a star be born, but also to not have someone related to someone else that's famous. And all three of you, all three leads in this, definitely just come from humble beginnings, really built your own path forward in their own kind of ways. And so I guess, what is so important, do you think, about the three of you telling this story right now?
Well, okay, I do want to respond to that because there's something that really surprised me. Because, when you hear the names Diego Luna and Jennifer Lopez, you're zoomed out and you're like, wow, these massive celebrities. And hearing them talk about their own careers and their relationship to the industry is not dissimilar to my own.
Mm-hmm.
We're just in different parts of the timeline, but it feels like we're all in the same part, like we're in the same river.
Yeah.
Right. And it's fascinating because even though no one can say that they're not massive celebrities, they're still like charged up against the same kind of structural issues.
Yep.
Or like Diego, I think, was saying something along the lines of for many parts of his career, he kept getting offered the narco and he kept getting offered these, two-dimensional characters. And then Jennifer as well. I mean, she said, it took forever for people to take me seriously. And the fascinating thing is that for all three of us, despite the commercial success that we had in Andor, The Mother, Carry On, etc., to get an opportunity to tell multiple characters and three-dimensional ones at that was such a gift that for all three of us, it felt like we were going to our favorite job ever, right? I think that there was a certain hunger there that all three of us just felt like we needed to leave no crumbs.
Yeah.
And it's funny, and I don't want to make it about race or anything, but there is just this certain thing where it's like we're present to how rare opportunities come. So you have no choice but to be excellent. You have to, Jennifer and I constantly joke around that we call it Latin excellence.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's so true. And I do think, I'm obviously I'm speaking from a white, male perspective here, but I do think that is something to be noted about, that there are three non-white actors of Latin excellence performing in a film that is a massive, massive holiday awards contender. That doesn't happen often either. That is not something that is normal in Hollywood, unfortunately. And so I do think there is something to that it is important to have the three of your faces, but particularly, and I've said this before to quite a few different filmmakers, most recently Catherine Bigelow for her new film, A House of Dynamite, that oftentimes films are made within the period in which they're released. And there's a reason why this film is so poignant right now in our cultural history. And so I wanted to know from you, you don't need to get political or anything. I mean, you can if you want, but just saying, why is this important right now in this moment, this film?
It's funny. I'm a firm believer that art is necessary as a subversive tool to help change culture, because culture changes significantly faster than politics, right? And with that, our film happens to take place in a time period during the Dirty War in Argentina, where people were being snatched off the street, thrown out of planes, in cargo planes, and silenced for their identity or speaking out. It was an authoritarian regime. And it's fascinating to me because unfortunately, our film is becoming more relevant than ever, not just in the United States, but kind of globally, right? And at its center is Molina, a genderqueer prisoner who was illegally snatched and put into a prison and forced as a means of survival to extract information from their cellmate, who also was illegally detained for speaking out against the injustices of the government. So there's something really powerful there. And then when you zoom out even further and you think about it, people are literally in the United States walking around with their passports.
Yeah. Yeah.
in their pockets to walk their dog,
Mm-hmm.
to
Yes.
go to church,
Yeah.
to go grocery shopping. They have to carry their passports,
My boyfriend's doing
right?
that. Yeah.
And so, and queer people, particularly trans individuals, are being called terrorists,
Yeah.
which is such a wild, 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 wild thing, because the communities that I know and that I've been a part of and have known for my entire life, those are some of those beautiful, incredible, fascinating, funny,
Mm-hmm.
vibrant people, and our movies giving them the Hollywood treatment.
Yeah. It's important at this time, I think. And, you know, it's so interesting you bring up the passport thing because while watching the film and thinking about sort of the cultural impact of what's happening right now, and, you know, we have mutual friends. I mean, people close to me that are carrying around passports. And as a Jew, it reminds
around my passports.
exactly. Yeah, and it reminds me of, and just for other cultures to be able to relate to what's happening right now, it reminds me of Jews having to carry around papers, or, you know, different marginalized groups having to identify or solidify their identity to authority. And this film, I think, speaks to that in a larger sense, and in an artistic sense that I think not only allows a community to see Latin excellence on screen and celebrate it in a wonderful way, but also going back to the original source of Manuel's novel and having the impact of how radical that was in 1976 when it was originally published, and how radical he was for even existing. Or
the book was banned.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I wanted you to speak to sort of the radicalness, if you will, of not only the original source material, but how even Terrence McNally's book for the musical, it has always gone against the grain culturally of what was being presented artistically, and yet it still was celebrated.
Well, because they think that it's funny, like heteronormative culture almost asks you to be silent, right? There is this pervasive dominance culture that, because they live in a binary, and binaries are intrinsically violent, queerness is anathema to the culture at large. But the thing is, like, the binary is not just like against our community, it also punishes them. Like, imagine like just a regular person who wants to wear a nice outfit and all of a sudden being ridiculed for looking good, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so silly because all of this is made up. We're in literally flesh bodies that we're renting for a little lifetime. And we're going to argue over what's appropriate to wear or say or whatever. And so the beauty of Manuel's book was that at the core of it is it's stripping away inside of this prison. There is no glamour. There is nothing left. You don't have your friends. You don't have your comforts. And at the very end, after being tortured and beaten, you don't even have the mask that you put on to survive in life. And so the only thing that you have left is your vulnerability. And into that, these two men were able to witness each other.
Yeah.
And put aside all of their preconceived notions as to what it means to be alive, and just be and fall in love with each other.
Yeah. Well, and also too, even beyond the story, there is something so powerful to the idolization of entertainment. And you and I have messaged about this, but and I, of course, have made a career out of it, but there is the sense of the power that you get, the mental inspiration that you get from seeing a film and having that be a touch point to quite literally narrate your life. I think Kiss of the Spider Woman, and your character in particular, really, really personifies, particularly for queer people, what it means to idolize some of these Hollywood stars, particularly because oftentimes we are not allowed to be the idols in our own lives because of society. And so we have to idolize someone like, quite literally, Jennifer Lopez. Exactly. No, exactly. And so, just as a fellow homosexual, what is it like to be within a foot of the idol of Jennifer Lopez, but also too, speak to the idolization part of it, because that's so important to this story.
Well, I'm going to correct you with one thing. I'm pansexual, not homosexual.
Okay.
But yes, because don't take people off the menu. No, when it comes to it's just so fascinating because at the end of the day, I'm like, what are we fighting for?
Mm.
We're not just fighting against something, we're fighting for something. We're fighting for beauty, we're fighting for art. And I think people like Jennifer, and these incredible divas and idols, whether they're male, female, or non-binary, it doesn't matter. They remind us of what life could be, right? They remind us of like the possibilities of wanting even more for ourselves.
Mm.
Because then you think about like the whole fashion industry, the makeup industry, the beauty industry, it's always just like, how can we make it a little bit better?
Yeah.
Right? Why do we have to live in a dark room? What are these overhead lights?
Yeah. Yes. I have many
because-
lights in front of me intentionally. Yes.
and so that's what art is for. I think that's why we're here. We're here to connect, and they do it. I think artists help. They're almost like a tuning fork,
Mm.
right? Because our minds are constantly looking at the things that don't work, or constantly fighting against something, or making all of this noise. But artists just serve as a tuning fork to heal, as a tuning fork to drain. Yeah, I mean, like I saw some of the outfits that she wore this past weekend for premiere, and I was like, my God, you are she's a living performance art piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Quite literally. Quite literally. But also too, I mean, what I love about this film and but about the three of you in it, but particularly Jennifer Lopez, is that yes, of course, you're all wonderful performers, but it's also playing on the star power of what we know of these performers. Diego, I think, is a great example of that as well.
No, quite literally. I think this is what's fascinating of the genius behind Bill.
Yeah.
The man is genius.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to art. The script that he created quite literally served the mythology that all three of us is bringing to the table.
Yes.
Right? We needed someone like Jennifer Lopez, who not only has, of course, all the technical skills, but the mythology that comes with her already does so much of the work because it feeds into the world and it makes it textured.
Yeah.
Diego, especially just coming off of Andor, is quite literally Valentine. And so it adds so much layered texture and nuance. And for the people who know my work for the last 10 years, or even just like follow me on social, like I'm not particularly quiet when it comes to social issues, or my gender expression, or my views on the world. And so it's almost feeding that same kind of mythology. And so we were like, the casting of this couldn't have been more perfect.
Yeah.
In order to give it more dimension.
Also, it's just good to look at the three of you. I mean,
listen, someone was like, one of this like a straight boy was like, man, you look so beautiful. And I was like confusing, huh? Good. Well, that's what I wanted to do with Molina. I wanted them not to particularly have a gender.
Yeah.
Because there is a 2025 understanding, a much more nuanced understanding of gender, sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
We have so much diction around all of that. Yeah. But in 1980s Argentina, inside of a prison cell, I think we wanted to simplify a lot of it. And my mission statement, the reason why I ended up losing so much weight for it was because, especially for more intimate scenes, I wanted people to like think that they're beautiful, but it wasn't because of any particular form of gender or expression.
Yeah.
I wanted you to focus about the light behind their eyes and their comedy than you are what they're wearing.
Well, that's the crux of the story, I think, and how it has continued to work over the years, either with the musical going into, or even with the book, but particularly the visual representation, even in films. Like, you need to be able, that your character particularly needs to be able to cross over those lines that of misunderstanding that so many people have of someone like your character, and then fall in love with your character to see, and then the tragedy of your character as well. And so in order to get there, that character has to be able to check every box for every audience member and find something to relate to,
Yeah. And it doesn't hurt to look pretty.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to look pretty. It does not hurt. Well, I do want to speak a little bit about Diego Luna because, I mean, of course, you and I can obsess over Jennifer Lopez all the time. But Diego, I've interviewed him a few times, and quite literally one of the nicest men I think I've ever encountered in my life, and so poignant in a strange, like, kind of takes you out of nowhere way. We first chatted, he was Zooming me from a car, and it was just, I was thinking like, oh God, he's in a car. And then I left the conversation inspired and kind of tearful. So like, What was it like spending so much time with someone of that caliber of talent?
You know, he is a league of his own. That man is one of the most charming people on the planet. And I was texting him the other day because unfortunately I couldn't come to Korea because he's filming. But I was texting him and I was like, I don't know if you understand that you make people fall in love with you in such a short amount of time, right? And then you get to meet him and he's hilarious and he's kind and he's smart. Like he's so opinionated about the world around him. His Jimmy Kimmel, those 4 days that he took over at Jimmy Kimmel, that's so much dignity and respect back onto the community that was being attacked and reminding people that, yeah, I am an entertainer, but I'm also Mexican as hell.
Yeah.
Right? Don't you fucking forget it.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just so powerful because he's not just a man who like talks the talk, but he also walks the walk.
Yeah.
And he's not braggadocious about it. Like he's not over here saying, look, he's not a look at me girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's very much my words and my legacy will speak for itself.
Fully. Well, my last question for you is, and it's kind of a twofer, is, you know, there's a lot of award buzz, obviously, for a film like this. There's going to be, and of course there's going to be award buzz for you. People are already talking about it. And that is going to then have a moment where I feel like because of your wonderful name, you will have an Idina Menzel Oscar moment of John Travolta mispronouncing. There's going to be so many people mispronouncing your name. So, yeah. A, how do you feel about the award buzz? And B, how many weird variations of your name have you gotten, and what's your favorite?
Okay. These are all the wrong ones. Okay. So for people who are listening, these are wrong. The common ones are Tonatiuh, Tonatiuh. But my favorite mispronunciation was at a casting office, and this girl she was trying so hard. You could tell she was listening to YouTube videos, just trying to like figure it out. This was pre-ChatGPT, so she could have just asked. She went, Tonatiuh? And I looked at her and I was like, that's correct. Yeah, yeah, I'm Tonatiuh now. That's my hood name. No, my name is Tonatiuh. Yeah. Tonatiuh. And the award stuff, man, it's crazy. I know the shoes that I had to step into. Brent Carver won the Tony in '93 for playing Molina. William Hurt won the Oscar for playing Molina in the Babenco film. And I just wanted to come correct. I come, I guess, from humble beginnings. I hate the word, but I wanted to make my family proud. And when I got the invitation to play Molina, I didn't want to leave anything on the floor. It was a role of a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And the script was so poignant, and I knew that it would be more relevant. Well, I knew that it would be relevant. I didn't know it was this relevant. But to come from these different intersections of my identity and my own political ethos being so alive with it, I just wanted to give it my heart. And so if anything comes of it, I would happily accept. But as long as people walk away from the movie feeling less alone in the world, I think I want to break.
Totally. Well, you've made your family proud, you've made your friend group proud, and you've made quite a few other people who don't even know you very proud. So you should feel very proud of yourself. Yes, and it was so nice chatting with you, friend. I'll see you in real life soon, I hope. I'll see you online. Yeah, I mean, I'll text.
I'm coming back home. Actually, weirdly enough, this will be a plug. I'm coming back home this weekend for our opening night. Okay. Not opening night, our opening weekend. Mm-hmm. And we have partnered up with a couple of different LGBTQ and Latin fundraising organizations. And we're raising money for the Trans Youth Program at the LA LGBTQ Center.
Yes.
We are raising money for the Trans Latin Coalition. And I think we have like a couple of local high schools who are coming through. We are gifting our films to those communities and auctioning away tickets to go to private Q&As, sign posters and sign soundtracks, because we want to make sure that their initiatives are being funded as well.
That's wonderful. I mean, also very apropos of what you do. So amazing. Thank you. And I'll see you soon. I'll see you this weekend, maybe.
Yes, come do it.
Yeah, wonderful. Take care, Rennie. Right. Bye-bye.